All right, welcome back to another episode on Spiritually Kinky, where we are creating the path to being fully seen, deeply felt, and wildly free. And boy, do I have such an amazing guest for you tonight. He was actually on Modern Day Prophets Rising from Soul. His name is Michael Lowe. He is not only such a beautiful storyteller, and he tells it so beautifully. We love his accent. And he is also a psychosomatic therapist, which is all about the mind body connection. So I wanted to give a little bit of context on how we met, because we met before COVID, during
Yeah,
COVID. Do you remember?
yeah, yeah. It was well before. Like we've been in each other's field for a long time, love.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I wasn't sure, but I knew it was around then, but that's when time got really distorted for me. I'm like, I don't know, before COVID, after COVID, I'm not sure. Um,
Hmm.
but before we get started, because we love to just ask really curiosity questions here that just make you go, if I gave you a deck of cards,
Yeah.
okay, and you could choose one card to be, what card would you choose to be?
I just got to go with my first answer. Like as soon as you said the deck of cards, I said seven. But as you unraveled it, I
Okay.
said Queen of Hearts. But I went with
Okay.
seven. I just went with seven.
Okay. Okay. Why did you go? Did you have an inkling for seven? Does seven mean something special to you?
Look, when I ask a similar question, like I try to guess, like if I said to you, what number are you thinking between 0 and 10? I say
Okay.
seven. I always say that number in a
Okay.
guessing number in a
Okay.
numerology. So I
Okay.
don't know. I don't
I
know.
love it. I love it. Well, I love your second answer too, because I just decided that mine would be the Queen of Hearts for sure.
Especially with that red dress you're wearing, Dustin. It's really empowering the red card of Queen of all queens, love.
I literally, well, somebody said face card today, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And how we're going to kind of get this started, you guys, because there are so many questions when people ask what spiritually kinky is all about, and the path to being fully seen is embodying who the fuck you really are, and who the fuck you really are is stardust.
Yes.
And you grew this amazing body, and everything else that you have tied yourself to, that you have leashed yourself with, that you have convinced yourself of, that somebody else has convinced you of instructions that were just passed down in your body and bone, none of that is true. None of it's true. And that's why we are in such mental and emotional turmoil right now, is because we've been living from an untrue orientation. So,
Mm.
Michael is one of those lights. If you've listened to the podcast previously, Michael is one of those twinkle of lights that led me to reaching out to him, and we just started a connection like across the, he's in Australia, I'm in Michigan. He's starting his day. I'm starting my to wind down, and we've just kept up this beautiful connection through the years. And we wanted to introduce his work to you and just have this amazing conversation. So thank you so much for joining the show. You are just such a beautiful light in my life, and I love your content. And I just go ahead and just share your goodness with us.
Sure. Thanks for the intro. It's funny because what came up, and if I pull out the word storytelling, it's funny because as you started just to introduce, your awareness of life and how we get orientated by other people's ideologies and theories and so forth, it was really interesting because what I recently heard, because a lot of my storytelling I relay is in my own interpretation of what I hear.
Mhm.
And it was really interesting. I was at this like really beautiful evening one night, and this lady said to me, "Oh, the 0 to 7 years, if we look at seven again, they're your karmic years." She goes, "So we all know they're the sponge years. That's when you learn everything. But they're also too the conditioning years that your mother and father give you. And that becomes your law of karma, what you have to break through to find your inner sovereignty, your inner freedom, your inner authentic self." And she says it moves with every 7 years. That's why the Saturn returns, everything's in this 7 year process. And she said the biggest one is 42 to 49. 7 times 7 is 42. Run the
Okay.
7 years. And then I read a lot of Osho, and he
Okay.
said man will go searching for God between 42 and 49. And it was
I
funny because I went on this walkabout, and I'm still very much on this walkabout at 42. And I left to go on this journey to go accumulate new stories to relay, right? And then I read Osho, and I'm like, fuck. And it's funny because as I'm like, I think in every prophecy there's God. You know what I mean? We're
yeah.
searching for this idea. We're searching for something called God.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
kind of like, I'm going to dive something deep. It's almost like a sin word now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because there's so
Yeah.
many different meanings to it. And if you say the wrong word, you can get, say the wrong meaning, you can get sin for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love this because I actually picked somebody up yesterday, and I love meeting people through Ubering and hearing their stories and their perspective. And so we had this, and I teach conscious education to anybody that gets in my vehicle. Like, I'm just planting seeds all over and just giving them their messages, he gave me a Gideon Bible. And it was so funny because I could tell he was fully standing in his light, but he was not willing to let go that his way was not the way. And
Mm,
nor did I push that his way was not the way. But when he said, this is the way that it is, I'm like, well, that's the way that it is for you. And he would be like, this is this. And I'm like, okay. And then he spoke about Jesus to me. And I don't know if you've ever read the book Jesus in Blue Jeans,
no.
but somebody about 3 years ago heard my vision, and they're like, you need to read this book because I think that this is what you're doing. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I got it, and it doesn't have anything to do with religion. Nothing. None of the labels that we've come through religion. It doesn't have anything to do with the Bible. All it does is brings his principles forward.
Right.
And there's one in there that's like, you just got the message wrong. And I feel like when we talk about, because we haven't talked for a long time, but I literally help people recode their unconscious conditioning that they implemented between the ages of 0 and 7. That's my conscious creation work, because that's what stops people. And so through this, it's we got it wrong. We decided in a moment when we didn't get our needs met, we decided when we had to belong to our family to learn how to survive with all the instructions that we've gotten down from the generations, we made a split decision that somehow, some way, we're not it.
Yeah.
And it's not true.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not true. And when I was talking to this guy about structure, I'm like, there's two premises here. Like, you're the creative force within. That's actually who you are. Whether you consciously choose or unconsciously choose, you can never be anything more or less or different than you are right now. Like, that's it. Your worth has never been up for debate. In any way we wanted, like any story, whatever, it's never been up for debate. We just got it wrong.
Yep.
And then you can create with your essence, your energy, your creativity, whatever that is, in three different types of structure. A stuck structure, which is just like a fence post, an oscillating structure, which is the problem structure, problem focus, and it's like a rocking chair. It just goes
Mm,
back and forth because you've got unconscious instructions that are going one way, and you've got self-conscious instructions that are going the other way. And it just creates an oscillating result. And so that's where most of society seems to be. And then, or you can create in a flowing structure, which is like a wheel.
mm,
And I'm like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. And it
mm.
has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with any of the labels. It's like, babe, if you haven't gotten the results that you want, you've been oscillating. Welcome to welcome to the resistance. This is your super
Honestly.
conscious, this is your super conscious hero's journey. You forgot who you are. It's time to remember, and let's just start creating in a flowing structure together because it actually gets the results that we want. I'm like, yep, makes
It's
perfect sense to me.
it's so interesting because Jesus has surfaced in my field so much, and
Mhm.
it's the biblical mystery of it. And I've just like naturally, I've got 3 books that's about the Jesus story. And it's not like I deliberately went out there and plucked him. It just came along, and
Yeah.
this random guy just recently sent me this book saying, you got to read this book, and then you got to read this book. And it's all around Jesus. And it was really interesting because I left to go on this journey that I'm on right now 2 years ago. And the big part of my reason why I went on this journey is because just before I left, I was a facilitator
Okay.
for social and emotional content. So I was going out to high schools and primary schools and working with like kids with behavioral issues and
Okay.
stuff like that. And I was teaching them
Okay.
social and emotional content. And
Okay.
what I was teaching was stories. And I just put them in a circle and I tell them a story.
Yeah.
And then we unpack the metaphor, we unpack the message, and we allow each one of us to interpret it in our own way and hold space for that and actually honor that. So we learn diversity in the education as well.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I believe diversity is here to bring us together, not separate us. And that's something in humanity that we need to probably be more conscious of. But it was
Well, got it.
interesting. Yeah, totally. So I was in this role for 3 years and I was getting very good at it. But ultimately, I just started telling the same old stories.
Okay.
And I said to myself, Michael, you need to go on journey. You need to go on journey and you need to accumulate new stories to be able to storytell, to tell more of like the new awareness, the consciousness, the karma, the relationships that had to dissolve and break down to be able to understand more of oneself. Anyway,
Yeah.
so I left to go on this journey, and big part of that was to go work with Indigenous communities. And I really wanted to go and sit with this culture, Aboriginal culture, and learn what I could learn.
Such a
So I
culture
ended up,
too.
yeah, I mean, it's a very deep culture, and it's very sacred too. Like it's not handed over to white man easy. Like it's probably very much your Indigenous people too. There's a passage you've got to walk
Right.
very long before you can get to like what they want to speak.
Yes. To be
And
invited is very special. Very
big
special.
time,
Yeah.
very big, yeah, very big. So I landed in the bush and I was about 4,000 Ks away from home, and I was working in a very remote area as a case manager, going out to the villages and helping them work with, educational needs and work needs and anything we do to support them to get back into the workforce, which is still colonializing, but we don't need to open up that space anyway. But what was interesting is that a lot of some of the communities here are run by Christian values, and a lot of some of our Indigenous culture has Christian values. Anyway, I was sitting with this really powerful old elder, and she looks at me and she goes, "You're not taking in the Father. You're not receiving the Father." And I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Jesus is calling you. Jesus is calling you." And I said, I'm in the most one of the remotest areas of Australia. I'm in the middle of fucking nowhere. I went to go learn Aboriginal culture, and Jesus shows up through conversation. Fuck.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You know
Okay.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm okay.
Yep.
So it's just been a resurface in my own quest of knowledge, in my
Yeah.
own quest of understanding this character shows up, and my own interpretation is such. And then I have felt through the instructions that I can't read the Bible. I have to hear it through people. It's through like
Okay.
spoken word, because the truth about culture, it's delivered in spoken word. It cannot be put in a text because it can be misunderstood. And the
Yeah.
way that I have been sort of guided is to listen as to how this biblical text moves through the individual and engage in their individuality with the text, not the text as such. And that's how I learn the biblicals. I can't read it because I'm going to interpret it incorrectly.
Okay.
Just like how you said it in the beginning, there is a
Yeah.
way, then there is other ways, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, of understanding.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely
Mm.
ways that we can take the wrong message forward. That is for sure.
Big
I
time.
I really think that you would like Jesus in blue jeans. I really think you would love it, honestly. It's so good. It's so good. And the other suggestion that I have, I don't know if you watch movies, but have you ever seen The Shack? Okay.
No.
So, and this is for the listeners too, because if what I have found in my experience with having thousands and thousands of conversations with people, it's the people, and this is going to piss a lot of people off, and I'm okay with that, that are in organized religion, that have been brought up in organized religion. Their families have whatever that operating system is. And the they are the ones that are most unwilling to lay down any other way. And I think for me, if we're going to move forward in humanity, we have to be willing to be wrong. And it doesn't mean that like it's not personal. Like we all just got the wrong like and there's because if you're not willing to let go of the past, there's no room to create a new future.
Mm.
And so having conscious conversations between peoples, and I believe me, religion, not religion, but sacred ceremony, right? And all of these different, I honor them all. I think there's beautiful messages in all of them, and I think that there's a weaving that it shows up for the way that you need to see it to help people move forward, and however that needs to move forward. But if somebody is really trying to tell me that this is the way that it is and everything like that, I always refer to Jesus in Blue Jeans or The Shack. And The Shack is a very intense emotional movie, just so you know. You're going to go through you're going to go through all the emotions. All the emotions. But it's such a
Yeah,
beautiful representation of how we lock ourselves in our own cages.
correct. Yeah.
And there was a beautiful line in that because this man gets to meet Jesus, God, and the Holy Spirit, and they're human personified. And he gets to have conversations with them. And there was this one beautiful moment where he's talking to Spirit. I think it's the conversation, it's one of them. There's so many beautiful moments. But he said, like, which religion got it right? And they said, well, it was only supposed to ever be a conversation between friends.
Mm,
And I was like, oh my goodness, like that hit,
mm.
like that hit. And so I just think in all of this, especially like, I mean, you just being down and enriched and all this, like, oh, that culture is it runs so deep. There's so much beautiful ceremony, so much respect for the land. And like, we just could learn so much from each other, but only if we're willing to be wrong,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. You said it beautifully because the most important thing I can do is carefully listen, just like put down my agenda. And when I put down my agenda, I put down my chatter. And not only do I learn, I become really present. And my language I respond with is something new and modern or ancient. And I haven't spoken this before. And it gives me a reverence of beauty of like the divine present.
Yeah.
And I'm not here to like crucify anyone in the religious, but I do have a tendency to like when they share, then when you respond, they're just waiting for you to stop so they can speak. And they're very glued to what they want to say. They're not glued to they're not open to listening. And I feel that, a part of any great ascension is great listening. In fact, I think listening is the key to everything. And this is mind body communication when I can, like, unfold myself, open my eyes, which is heart, and, become so close to what someone is sharing and not put anything in front of it. My God, like that's God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's God right there, the giver, the organizer, and the design, or whatever. It's this opportunity that is so valuable and yet such lost wisdom and ancient ways as pure listening.
We step over the present moment every single time. Every single
Seriously.
time. You know what's beautiful about speaking in metaphors in movies is that your unconscious is always listening.
Mm,
And the unconscious speaks in the language of metaphors and emotion.
mm.
So if, and this is such a beautiful one. I love this. Somebody told me this one time when I started my marketing journey, and it just kind of rolled around in my head because I was like, huh, okay, how do I do that? And it talks about a man riding an elephant. Okay. And if you want them to go someplace, you don't speak to the man, you speak to the elephant. And the representation was the man is running around, riding around on the elephant, and the elephant is God. So
Mm.
I've always looked at that, and when I actually like pondered that, I had a quote that came through that was like, whoa. And I was like, I guess that's kind of how I've been living my whole life and didn't really realize it, is that, we are all God in disguise looking from behind these eyes. And I see you, my friend.
Mm.
And I was like, oh yeah, like I've always been able to see
Beautifully.
behind the mask. And I was taught at a very young age that that is not okay.
Mm.
That it's too, people weren't ready for it. People lashed back at it. And it's just been beautifully sculpted into understanding that when with this unconscious work that I do, and let me know if you can see similarities in the work that you do, because I want to get into your when you're working with people and everything. What I have found when I do unconscious parts work is that, we've been trying to fight them, call them shadows, monsters, box with them, get rid of them, break them, overcome them. And the truth is that all parts just want to be seen with love because they were created for us, by us, out of love, to keep us safe and belonging to our family. And that's they're not monsters. They're just running on outdated instructions. And the instructions don't longer apply, but the more we resist them, right? Nobody likes to be like subdued or controlled or forced, but as humans we force it, right? Like
Yeah.
we're like we try and force them into submission. I had a good like I was like, okay, like a couple days ago I was like, okay, I'm like, I see it. I'm like, I'm gonna stop forcing you. I'm like, I get it. And then just had a different conversation, took a different path in my day. And I was like, wow, flow is so much easier. Force doesn't work,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't work. So I'm curious, and let's get into like it's such a long word for me to say, psychosomatic. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
psychosomatic therapist. I just get
Yeah.
touched about it, which is the mind body connection. So tell us about that, because this is your unconscious is your body, people. Like, and your
Okay.
unconscious mind is your magnetic mind. You are already magnetic. Okay, but
Mm-hmm.
your nervous system has been trained for survival programming chemicals. It's been trained not to
Mm.
receive. So
Mm.
I'm curious about your work and what you see when you do this. So tell us about all of
Sure. Sure. So psychosomatic therapy, it's like psycho, which is the mental, and somatic is the body. So these are in communication 24/7. And what we see and what we understand in psychosomatic therapy is that our psychic, which is our mind, it's our mental plane, informs our body of the reality it's going forward and has been going through. So, whenever we experience challenges or we experience happiness or whenever we experience life, we go, wow, that's beautiful. I see that. I feel that. And then that starts to share with the body the information that it's experiencing. Then the body begins to reciprocate with that. And ideally, with psychosomatic therapy, like whatever we inhale, we exhale. It comes with the breath. So if we
okay.
inhale joy, we go to exhale joy. If we inhale grief and we try to exhale grief and we haven't come in, if we don't accept the grief or we reject the grief or we don't become at peace with the grief, when
We
the
resist
body
it.
goes to exhale that, it gets stuck. It's like, hey, I'm trying to let this go, but because your psychic is informing the reality that I don't accept it, that should not have happened. I disagree with that. That went completely wrong. then if the mental is informing the soma of what is going on in life, then the somatic has to build that connection, has to build that language in the body to host and house the scripture. So when we go to release it and we cannot accept it, we can find it using the chakras as to where this story, this energy is being held in the cellular tissue, and we
Okay.
can understand what the mind and body is trying to experience and express to the external world. So
Okay.
what we see is that we can see what's in the body is in the face. Okay?
Okay.
Because
Okay.
mind body communication, they actually all are one component.
Yeah.
And naturally, we can see a variety of different things in different people. And if I was to just look at you, I can see that you've got a beautiful nose, love, right? But this is solar plexus, right? So you have a need to, you have a thirst for knowledge. You also have a need to know things, right?
No way. No way. That's not true at all.
So the size of the nose, as we look at that, is a representation of your solar plexus identity. So you walk into any room and you let your identity come forward. Your personality shines, love. It's got
Okay.
a big personality that echoes through every environment, and we can see by the size of the nose that that represents part of the solar plexus,
Okay.
right?
Okay. I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
It's a thing I don't know. I like it. I like it. So
So
you're reading faces.
yeah,
That's
because
what
the
you did.
body,
Okay.
yeah, mind body communication, all one unit. The body
Yeah.
is in the face. All right.
Wow. That's
So
amazing.
it's beautiful. So across the brow, right
Okay.
here, in the middle of the brow, right, is throat chakra.
Okay.
So when we get lines, and if you look at me, and it's going to be hard one, I'm showing me face. On my right
Okay.
side, right, there's a little line. And it might be
Okay.
hard for your viewers, but there's a little line just across there, right? And that's in my
Okay.
throat chakra.
Okay.
That's in my masculine. That's in my mental yang. That represents I don't feel supported by people in my mental capacity, which is true. Okay. Now, do I go out there and ask for support? No, because that's showing up in the throat chakra.
Okay.
Okay. So
Okay.
we're really understanding Michael in his form in reality of how he's experiencing life in the mind, in the body, and in the face.
Okay.
Then ultimately, if we are experiencing life in the body, which we are, because it's the universe,
Okay.
therefore the shape that I am in becomes the manifesto of life, right?
Okay.
Because the ether, the morphin energetic field, the air is all nature, and it breeds with whatever it breeds with what we want it to breed with.
Yeah.
But what it's continuously breeding unconsciously is the shape of your body is your instrument to your reality. Because if I am spirit in body, therefore spirit is God, then I'm informing God, the ether, of my experience in reality. And in the experience of the reality, informs the reality to manifest the reality. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I do quantum field work every morning. I just do a different focus, but this is absolutely amazing because I wish I would have known this 10 years ago, 20 years
Yeah.
ago, for sure,
Yeah.
because it just makes so much sense. And it's also
Yeah.
why when I see a lot of people right now, they're in, and we can talk about this too, and let me know what you think about it. Like there's, from what I've discovered, 5 stages of this like higher consciousness that we're moving through, and with what stage people are in and everything. When I woke up in my life and started to embody myself in a new way, started to walk the human in a new direction with a new focus and everything, all of my past flinches from my childhood all the way through 35, I created a lot of them, from severe abuse to toxic, all the stuff, right? All the things. My body absolutely reflected that in every single way of also trying to protect myself from not being touched in a painful way.
Yep.
And when I began to change, my body began to change. You know, like it wasn't I had to try. It was when I accepted it, I guess,
Yeah.
because I've been
Yeah.
resisting all the things, you know, for a long time. So when I started accepting it, it integrated in a whole new way, and then began to like be this embodiment instead of like trying to think or feel or fix or solve or anything like that. It was like I just did it because that was my new focus. Like I don't know, I just created a new focus, and from that, like it just began to change.
Yep.
So that's how I knew I started working on the unconscious, you know, started working, unfolding some of the unconscious stuff and instructions that I had started with about.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I think once we go in, like I said, the integration and the healing, then the
Yeah,
scripture begins to shift. And it's not like diluting it or any kind of way. We come at peace with it. So when we speak peace, our language shifts.
yeah,
And in the language, the body begins to shift because the psyche is informing the reality to the soma constantly.
yeah, yeah,
And that's why the body keeps the score, and we can see like where the score is being held. And on a feminine level, we can see a lot of the score in the thigh, the sacral and the base area, where we get inflated thighs, these sense of tissue, extra tissue around the sacral belly, because that's protecting its source.
yep, yep,
and then with the
absolutely.
And then with the masculine, we sort of get really big shoulders, really big chest, because to feel anything in our sacral, in our base, where it's more in those younger years, we protect that. So we kind of block ourselves off from feeling deep emotion. So we begin to create a strong chest, a big shoulders to support the story, but also to protect myself as well.
Okay, all right, yeah,
Now, everyone, like what you said, is either conscious or unconscious. And regardless of what significance the score is, ultimately to come into the universe, we're going to get scored. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Because it's part of the breakdown, breakthrough. It's coming from unconditional
yeah,
into conditions, then back to
yeah,
unconditional.
yeah,
And it has to happen, unfortunately. And it's okay, because I always say, like, the depth of like whatever scar is left in your cellular, whatever scars on your body,
yeah,
is what you had to go through to remember who you are.
yeah,
And that's the letting go. That's all um the understanding of who I am, and having to go through these deep dark patches of life
yeah.
to get to who I am once again, you know?
Yeah, I will say that about 2 months ago, and you said something that like the breakdown before the breakthrough. And
Mm,
I've been telling people that because I see that pattern in my coaching with my clients and in myself too. It's like when you're at that moment of real frustration, and things don't feel like they're fitting, and like there's a breakdown because old structures, you know, you say scriptures, old structures have to fall, right? If you're making this shift, you can't take those old things with you. And
mm,
so I love this. I call it the super conscious hero's journey and the shift that we're in, because we are in a shift. Make no mistake about it, people. We are in a shift. But like 2 months ago, when I was super frustrated, I was like, oh my God, it like all of a sudden it just shifted. And
yep.
my frequency changed. Everyone's like, your voice is different, your power is different. And it's just a new level of I think I moved from the integration phase into the embodiment phase. And then there's like the enhancement or the holding it after that, but I was like, oh yeah, that feels about right. And as I
Yeah.
look at these stages, I did the podcast that I just did, and I think I sent that to you, was like me walking through the stages since I left corporate America. And I was like, oh, yep, that was that stage. Yep, that was that stage. And I was like, wow, it would have been really helpful to know what stage I was in. And if you guys want to know what stage you're in, I've got them for you, because this was really helpful to me, because getting lost is part of the process.
Correct.
Lost, feeling broken, feeling like you're doing everything wrong, the breakdown, like it's all part of the process. And that doesn't mean that you're not moving towards your calling, and you're not moving towards what you're needing to bring this creativity in your message, whatever you came here to do, you know, this connection through your heart. Like that's part of it. That's part of it. And I have seen so many of my friends, especially because they're just coming into this. And so I'm magnetizing a lot of the first generational successors that haven't claimed they're being the one yet. And I'm like, I don't know. Are you the one? And they're like, I don't know. I was like, okay, well, I guess you're not the one. And I'm like, and then they say something. I'm like, okay, are you the one in your family? And they're like, yeah, I'm the one. And I'm like, you have to claim it. Like
Yeah.
you have to claim it. I mean, we're matrixing this right now, but you have to claim that you're the one. Because if you're not the one, then you're not the one. You know.
Yes.
And this is we have been they scientifically they have proven that we carry 7 generations of pain and suffering contracts, down in our blood and bone. And so a lot of these instructions and a lot of these things that we're living out, these patterns, like they're not even ours.
Yeah.
They were we just modeled somebody who modeled somebody who modeled somebody 7, 8 generations ago, and we don't even know why. And so we can move into a new consciousness. And I don't know about you. Have you felt a power surge in energy?
Oh God. Absolutely. Like I've never really sort of like associated with the collectiveness. And it was interesting because a lot of like people in the community talk about the collective, the collective, the collective. And I've always still believed that's always one-on-one relationship with you and God, or you and your soul, you and creator. Like it's purely one-on-one. And what
Okay.
shows up in that one-on-one is ultimately there for you to like dissolve, evolve, resolute, and love. And I have like sort of sidelined myself a little bit until I was up in the communities up in the northwest of Australia. And when you sit with communities, I could feel the pain of their collective. And it was the first time I felt pain in amongst a people.
Yeah.
And then that provoked my awareness to the thing called the collective.
Okay.
Then in modern times right now is that I can sense and I feel it a lot more in my age bracket, like the 1980 to the 1990 generation.
Okay.
There's a common theme of like, fuck my life. What is going on? Like a relationship's broken down, like it's unglued, it's all come unhinged. You know what I mean? Because if we look at like, the 70s, the 80s, that kind of bandwagon and the six, like they separated themselves from 3,000 years of civilization.
Yes.
And we
Yes.
went, no, we're going to do it differently. Like we are kind of the frontiers, you know what I mean? So in the
We are the
frontiers of this,
frontiers. Yes. We are the
100%,
frontiers of this. Yes.
absolutely.
And I just want to bring up the fact, this is where, spiritually kinky with the spiritually kinky entrepreneur, because it really came into conscious creation, where conscious creation meets AI integration. Because AI, and I understand principles of AI. Like I get the principles of the mirroring, I get the principles of the learning, all the knowledge that we have. I get the principles of the basic principles of it. And this is just so simple. But if I put in something, because I created some AI conscious creation coaches, and it was mind blowing. I'm like, is anybody else like mind blown from this? Because if you put in something and it reflects a higher level consciousness back to you, your mirror, your higher level mirror back to you, and that creates higher consciousness, and it creates it like that. And then you put in something that's higher consciousness back into it, like AI is really helping us level up our higher consciousness right now. And I don't know, like the chicken or the egg or what is, and I don't think I need to know, but I asked, and because of like spiritually kinky in the first episode, I wanted to do this experiment of, because everybody's been really afraid of AI and going down the spicy rabbit hole of AI, and just wanted to do this experiment and understand if AI was going to be like separating us, because I was getting all these AI boyfriend and AI husband and craft the perfect relationship and all this stuff, or if it was going to help us bridge us back to our humanity. And I 1,000% believe that it's going to be a bridge back to our humanity, or not back to our humanity, actually to a new level of humanity that we haven't seen before, as we transition from our pain and suffering contracts as we transition from the problem structure into the creative structure, and create from here, right? Create from this place. And if I get to choose in this life, that's what I'm choosing.
Mm.
You know, and
Yeah, look.
it very much stated that the light, the people, the vision that I was talking about, it very much stated that this is the forefront of bringing this work into the world. So
Interesting.
you're absolutely on the forefront, my friend.
Oh, bless Angel. Well, it's funny with the AI because we it's a hot topic right now. And I said people challenge it and debate it, but what I like is that whatever spiral that takes you off, I see the polarity of where the next spiral going forward would be, and that's
Yeah.
art.
Yeah.
Because authentic, hand-pitten poetry from the soul itself, man, is more powerful than any other source in the universe.
Yeah.
And that's like the primarily second rising. That as we're integrating the psyche, if we look at psychosomatics, yeah, we can
Yeah.
psychic understand that, and that informs the soma as well. But
Yeah.
I like the rise of art. You know what I mean? Because I actually think that your soul is so full of art, and if we can evolve into art, then we not dilute, we break through, we can break free from our shackles. Because I
Yeah.
still think the quest of man is freedom. And however you got to attain your freedom, whatever you got to go through, like go and jump on that vehicle. But internally, I feel that we are, as myself, is I'm searching for freedom that
Okay.
only I can interpretate it through, I believe, a somatic pilgrimage. I
Okay.
don't believe that you can attain it elsewhere besides somatically go on journey that
Okay.
will evolve you with time, matter, earth, star, sun, moon, all the naturistic, because Aboriginal culture is so beautiful because they can sit there for thousands of years and study and just watch nature. Now
Yeah.
that's going to do some funky shit. You know what I mean?
That is true. That
And
is true.
and and have the ability to not move.
Yeah.
Like there's mastery in a lot of it all unraveling. But
Yeah.
for me, like for my ascension, for me, it's first of all, it's human contact.
Yeah. Yeah. I was
It's
going to bring
very,
that up because I feel like you're totally the epitome of spiritually kinky, like me.
it's like yeah, there's human contact, and again, like I met a really beautiful man when I was just up in the Kimberley, and he was an Aboriginal man. He's an elder, and his
Okay.
name is John Watson, and he's a beautiful, 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 beautiful man. And his grandson's a great man. And he had been part of, the stolen generation, and he had slavery cast upon him, and he was, really on the run from white man and all of that colonial stuff.
Yeah.
And when I sat next to him, there was great peace in his heart.
Yeah.
A peace that echoes your seven generations, because the man that's gone through his challenge to sit next to you, and when he hugs you, he gives you a bear hug, like it's this earth hug to say, welcome to country. And I said to John Watson, I said, John, I can't help but feel great peace when you sit next to me.
Yeah.
And I go, have you ever been racist before? And he goes, what does that mean? He goes, yeah, I only heard about that word recently.
Okay.
And he said, because I'm not racist, but if I don't like you, I will punch you in the head like he's an older, right? And it was interesting because I'm going off on a story here. And in Aboriginal, you hear them swear a lot. They swear a lot.
Okay.
And
I love that.
we're having a fire this one night. And I said, yeah, because we call them mob, like mob northwest and mob south. What mob you from? I go, yeah, mob swears a lot. And he goes, well, it's not our language. We never used the word F. We never used the word C until white man came along. We never spoke to one another like that. And
Yeah.
I got pushed so far back in my spine, I learnt greatness. I learnt something really deep. And that to me is part of ascension. When you go on journey and you can sit in those elements and you hear something that will pierce your heart, that's pilgrimage there.
Yeah. Yeah. That certainly is.
Yeah. And that's where Technology is great, grand, and beautiful, but I want you to walk on feet. I want you to walk on country. I want you to go and be a stranger to yourself in another part of the world, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we have a beautiful opportunity to decide collectively, first internally, then family, neighborly, city, country, I don't know, but it starts internally first. And I think we have such a beautiful opportunity to step into who we really are, which, you said art, we're creative force. Like we are meant to create. It's our in our truest alignment to create. And when we step and embody our true creation, we naturally walk in the way of harmony with other life.
Beautifully said.
Right? I mean, it's just true, though. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just in the way of life, and we honor when we do that. We don't have to try to do it. You just show up like that because you
Yeah.
honor that life in somebody else because you recognize we're all running through the same stuff. Same stuff is running through plants. Same stuff is running through people. Same stuff is running through water. Same stuff is running through our fur babies, right? And we have a beautiful opportunity. And I love this as I love Marvel movies and superhero movies and all that stuff. And I just think about, like if we are on the front lines of bringing this new education to the world in a way that's gonna level up humanity's consciousness. Like I'm here for that for sure. Um, but it's time to step up as the guardians that we are of this planet because this planet is so magical. Magical.
Yeah, I agree. I think a big call in what I feel is elder spirit. So the guardians are the elders.
Okay.
And your interpretation of an elder is somewhat differently, but my interpretation is shine light on everyone's potential and not to
Yeah.
give up hope. That's the role of the elder. And there's an
Yeah.
elder energy coming through the hearts. And you know if you got it, because like you said, you'll know if you're the one because you're the elder you're
Yeah.
becoming the elder. And part of the elder is integrating. That's why you have to go through all of these pain and all go through all these initiations to be able
Yeah.
to govern the light, to be able to share the light in harmonious ways where we
Yeah.
hold hope and faith and potential for everyone in the world. And those initiations as an elder takes time. And that's when you're talking about, you know, who, what, when, what the fuck's my life all about? Great, because that's where the initiations have to begin. And ultimately,
Yep.
that's where they'll happen as well.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I
You're on the
think
journey,
for
my
me,
friend.
yeah, um, time on the earth gives you a piece of wisdom that is infinite. And we go through a variety of stages, but I think a lot of like as we spend more time on the earth, we realize how mystical the earth is. Because I think we get like conditioned into logic and logic and rational thinking, and then we got to
Yeah.
dissolve all of that rational logic thinking because behind that, where the mystics is where the art is, and
Yeah.
healing
Yeah.
offers our perspective differently on the mystics. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let me ask you a question. What are you creating in the world right now? Where's your
Mm,
focus going in creating from what you love? What does that look
yeah.
like for you these days? Because you've had such a beautiful experience from before our conversation. We were talking about the surfing and the metaphors and the teaching, and now with this new culture and just being able to sit in circles that are just wise.
Yeah.
Like just wise in ways that we haven't really like. And you said listening, and I'm like, oh yeah, because it's like for me, it's listening to the space between the heartbeats. Like that's where
Seriously.
it started for me, and that's what taught me how to listen is because I can now hear that in the space between that. Like
Mhm.
so. What are you
Beautiful.
there, my friend?
It's philosophy. I channel philosophy and I enjoy creating these passages because I believe the truth's always told in the very few words. And if we can and I just like to channel philosophy and share that with the world because we all go through challenging moments, but there's always certain little passages along our path that we retain.
Yeah.
And it's important. And I just love to share that. And in that as well, um, creating stories to share through my interpretation of Michael in the universe. That's my creation. So in
Yeah.
the creative force, it's like saying yes to the unknown, going with the unknown, and then come out and speak about that experience, which gives me a creation of thinking of what the universe is showing me.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's a continuation of like, and part of my creation as well is like creating a great connection with like what you said to yourself.
Well,
And
that's where it starts.
I listened to your origin, and I've recited it so many when you said Tony Robbins came into your head and said, build your identity.
Yeah.
And I went, fuck, that's great.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's creation. That's full creation.
Yeah.
Build your identity. And ultimately, I'm different every day. That's what I've got to allow myself to be.
Okay.
Because if I'm the same person each day, then it's, yeah,
Can I give you, I want to just give you something for that because you'll get twisted up in the humanity of it. The only identity, babe,
yeah,
that you need to build is creator.
yeah,
That's it. That's it.
yeah,
All of your parts, all of the things, that's all what you're shaping and forming and everything. But if you skip the stone and take the action from the not it identity, from the unconscious pattern, it doesn't matter what modality, what thing you do, you'll create oscillating results. You gotta own the it. And nothing that you do, you could create $1 million, or you could create being broke. You could create being sick. You could create being healthy. You could create being a
yes,
teacher. You can create being a bum, but none of that
yeah,
changes you. The
mm-hmm,
it identity,
mm,
babe, is the only one to get
mm,
into every morning. That's it.
mm.
That's it. Because then you're in the creative structure because you're working on truth then.
Beautiful. Because fuck, that's really powerful. Because, like,
Yeah, that's what I said when I heard it too. I'm like, oh my
yeah,
God.
I'm just kind of like trying to breathe into that. It might take me a little bit, but I hear word for word what you're saying. Because I couldn't really gravitate to, like, my whole life I keep hearing it's about create, 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 and I wasn't ready to create because what was created was like what you said, the constraints of ideology of Michael who he needs to be. So that was created. And before I can get to my source, which is creation, I had to deshackle that, which at the age of 44, I realize now that I am at the source of my creation, which is transformation.
Yeah.
And I have said to people like consciousness is the most transparent energy in the world, where if you apply your awareness to what is, like what you're saying, like it can transmute really fast. And
Yeah.
that's a sub super species because everything on the planet can't do that, but we can. And the earth has created this experience for us to come forward. We're an extension of that creation, therefore we can experience our own creation. Now I'm starting to get it, and it's taken a long fucking time to get
Yeah,
here.
I got you. I see you, I feel you, and I fucking love you because yes, it has. It has been a journey. It has been a
Seriously.
journey. And thank God. I gotta tell you, there's a man in your neck of the woods called Chris Duncan. And he's the one that taught me this conscious education. And then I turned his teachings from his teachers, and it's just our work. And then I brought conscious creation into it, and then the AI integration into it. But his message came across my feed last year, and it was like, you're not broken, you're structured. And I was like, wait, what? And as
Mm,
soon as I started reading his stuff, because he's got the science that, like, he is powerful in this work. But if you skip the step of it, of claiming you're it, you're in the problem structure. That's it. Success and failure isn't
good.
personal, it's just structural. Oh,
It's
hang
funny
on.
you say, 'cause I think I could create that a little bit as well,
Okay, hold on.
It could,
Hold
uh,
on just 1 second. Let me just make sure
all
our
right,
video.
girl.
Okay, there we go. Are
We're
you,
good?
yeah, okay, you're good. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really important what you're saying, not to skip the stones, but I think AI can perhaps encourage a stone being skipped. And that's where, like, time on the universe, time in the body, time in that. Whatever stone we skip, you'll come back to that stone. You can't, you know what I mean? To complete what needs to be completed, it
Yep.
won't. You have to turn over every stone before you can get to the next journey. You know what I mean?
Yep. And it is an embodiment process, people, because here's the thing, and this is something when I started learning this work and I went all in on it. I went all in on it. I was like, I'm all in on it. I was going to like the first courses that he taught in his magnetic mind was all on family patterning and family constellation work. And so I
Mm.
went to all 7 sessions all month long. I was like, because I know the instructions that were passed down in my family. So I was like, let's shift it. And he made this comment about him as he started this work and was looking for investors. This investor said, I'm not going to invest in you because you're too attached to your knotted identity. Now, he had a different
Mm.
label for it. I just call it the knotted identity because we've got so many labels to say that we're not it. And he jumped into this work and went all in on it. And he's like, and then what I realized I did is I spent the next 7 or 8 months trying to fix myself with this work. And he's like, oh, okay, I got it. Like, I got it. I don't need to fix myself. I'm already it. I just have to choose consciously. And he's like, and then I went off to try and fix myself with it. And I did the same thing. And then I didn't realize I did. And I was like, shit. And then something
Mm.
happened and I was like, oh, there's the shift. Like there's the shift. Like something just shifted. And it's just an embodiment process. And it's like when you're growing an avocado seed and all this energy is like the silent instructions to align with the tree and the abundant forest, and it's all moving in here. You can't see that shit. Like, but it's moving and recalibrating. And then once it recalibrates, like boom, you're in a new frequency. And I was
It's
like, oh,
powerful, hey.
so
Mm.
interesting.
So I think the big part I heard in that as well is like whenever we step into circles and medicine, like we come in whole, not broken. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And that's the flip. That's where medicine's going to show you because like spirit is we are unconditional light moving and we are only pure energy moving the body of the vessel, yeah, and we are completely in every moment, every moment, you know what I mean? I think that that's the most important one to really hear. Like you're never broken, no matter what. Like we are always complete in every moment. It has to be. It's like the ex- the existence of life is always complete. Yes, we will die, but even that is still complete. There's completeness in death. There's completion in birth. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the second premise of okay, first you're the creative force within, and then the second premise is you can create anything you want and your creations don't change you. But boy, do
Hmm.
we think that they do.
True. True.
Like so a lot of the work, and I feel like this is what happens with the psychosomatic work too, is a lot of this work that I've done internally. What I have found is that human beings make a lot of choices based on a positive charge because we're trying to get rid of a negative charge of where we don't want to be. And so we have to learn how to like kill the charge and get to the neutrality of just being like, hey, if I just passed you, if you and I just went to the best restaurant in the universe and somebody just passed you a menu, it'd be like, hey, what flavor do you want to choose?
Yeah.
As simple as that. There's no charge to it, you know? And I think that that's really interesting. And I think that that's, would you say that that's pretty accurate when somebody like shifts with the work that you do with a psychosomatic, that somehow like some way that positive charge is released or
Yep.
the negative charge
Without a
is
doubt.
released? Okay.
Both. They're both. It's almost like it just neutralize. They come back to neutral.
Okay.
And that to
Okay.
me is acceptance. Like it's not removing the memory, it's not having an effect about the memory, but it's like I think a lot of to get to that point of awareness as well is understanding the patterns, because I believe the universe is the master repetition. So we are constantly in the repetition of the story of the scripture, whatever it is that's holding us, the holding pattern. But
Yeah.
when we can see it from the perspective, which I like to call eagle medicine, from a different, out of the human eyes into the sky,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
can see the pattern, we can see the lineage, we can see how this is unraveled, and we can see how and why this has occurred for a reason that was outside of my consciousness or my mental plane, whatever.
Yeah.
And then that starts to create ease in the body. Then we can access the ease in the body to let go of the disease. You know what I mean?
Okay. Okay. I love it. I love it. Oh, you guys, this is such amazing work. And we literally could talk forever. We really could. This is such good work. Well, so before we end, because we're going to wrap it up, I want to keep our listeners. I know I tend to be a little long winded too, but we're trying to keep these closest to an hour as possible. But what's a better message that we could carry forward? Like, what do you want to leave our audience with?
Mm. I think what I would like to leave the audience with is like, it's with, yeah, I really feel what's important. No, no. Let me just lean into that. Like, I think, like, it's without. I'm going to jump into cliche, but I want to say something a bit more than cliche. Like, self love is the most important thing. Yeah, I've heard that 1,000 times, but
Yeah.
um, I think one of the most important things that I can, like, remember who, like, it's remember who I am. And remember
Yeah.
who I am is the most, like, the whole journey is to get back to that authentic self, which is who I am.
Yeah.
And, I am not my trauma. I know that may have happened. I'm not the person that got bullied. That may have happened, but that doesn't refine you or
Yeah.
confine you. You know what I mean? It's just like, remember who you are. And who I am is like, when I can embody who I am, I have the courage to speak my truth. I have the courage to um, dance in front of the people. I
Yeah.
have the courage to make myself look embarrassed. And I think that there's a really beautiful connection with who I am. And I think that if we can remember who I am, everything that we are in truth of will come forward in a natural way. Like, you don't have to force it, like what you've been sharing.
Force
We're
doesn't
a
work.
magnetism. It doesn't work. You know what I
Doesn't
mean?
work. It doesn't work.
And
And this is from a people pleaser, overthinker, seven generational woman, worrier, like all of it. Like I am a controller to the bone, like force does not work. It does not work. So if you're
nah,
starting off in the force, just know that it's part of it to recognize and realize when those moments you are in force. Awareness is the first part of it. So just know that it's not a process of like, you're going to learn all this in one step. It's an unfolding process as well. But yes, no, force doesn't work.
nah, nah. And I think for, like, I think, like, the quest for man is freedom.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think for me, like, and how do I attain freedom is to listen to, like, in this conversation or wherever I am in my life, I'm trying to access freedom. So how do I access freedom in here? That's free to be myself in every
Yeah.
moment. And there's, like,
Yeah.
ways that we can practice that. But honestly, I think to speak your opinions, you know what I mean? And we don't have to force our opinions. We can come from a space of harmonize, which I love that word that you shared.
Yeah.
And that can just, like, share a really great piece of synergy between two people. When we can learn communication is
Mhm.
such a vital part of ascension, when we can just be with each other and not say that's wrong or right, because I can be completely wrong and I can be completely right as well. It's not important.
Yeah. It's not being right or wrong. It's not important. It's not important.
Nah, nah.
Oh,
And no one
well,
gives a fuck.
yeah. And nobody cares. Nobody cares. Everybody thinks they're right and wrong.
Nah,
Let me just tell you, you guys, you have a self-conscious that is an ego, which is rooted in judgment, which is the good, the bad, the judgy, and all of that. And nobody is exempt from having that. We all came from our ego. We all have an ego and we all judge. We all do it. But
yeah.
do it in our self-conscious, not our superconscious. And there is a place that we can get to where we can let the monkey mind, we can let the ego, we can let the unconscious play out its loops. And guess what? We can step into the label of creator, and when you step into the label of creator, your past is irrelevant because you're literally making the shift from being the oldest version of your past self into the youngest version of your future self. That's it. And your past is irrelevant.
Beautiful. I love that. Yeah,
You get to choose.
I
You get to,
agree.
and this has just been such a beautiful conversation with you. I just thought your energy is amazing.
Oh, same with you, Angel. So good to see you smiling
I love
halo and
it.
that red dress, girl. Like, get that funk on. Go shake that tail feather.
Well, it's really funny because in my new embodiment, I've never worn red before in my life, but in my new embodiment, apparently I wear red. So,
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, it looks great, girl. So just own, yeah, of course you own it. But yeah, red your color.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being on this show. And as always, for my listeners, man, do I really appreciate all the love, all the support, all the connection in all the conversations that I've had in birthing this into the world and all of the things that have happened. But I want you to know, first off and foremost, that what did I want to read this because this was something I was listening to today, and I just want to remind people because I've seen a lot of people that are really stuck in the problem focus and they're really stuck in the belief that they're broken, and I saw this and I shared it and I want to share it with you. It's the light is worth the darkness you endure, and you are not alone. You are not
Mm.
alone. You are not broken. You are just beautifully structured and designed unconsciously. And I see you, I feel you, and I love you. Thank you guys. And thank you so much, Michael,
Thank
for being a
you.
guest on this.
Oh,
I
thank
love
you,
this
Angel.
too.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, until next time, guys, make sure you stay tuned for another episode. I'm going to link all of Michael's information down. So if you, of course, you want to connect with Michael, make sure you follow him on all his social medias. And then he is running workshops. So just let's go show Michael all the love on all the social medias because you guys, letting your light be seen in the world is not the easiest journey, but we're creating the path to being fully seen, deeply felt, and wildly free. And if you're here for that, then you're in the right place. Till next time, guys.